Hey guys, welcome to Y&R Daily Update YouTube channel. Today's topics: the rinse Y&R. December 22nd. Billy Abbott stops fighting Victor and makes a choice no one expected. Billy Abbott makes a surprising decision that strips Victor's war of its emotional power on the young and the restless. In the December 22 episode of The Young and the Restless, Billy Abbott makes a quiet but consequential decision that alters his role in the Newman-Abbott war. Instead of escalating his long-running feud with Victor, Billy chooses to step out of it altogether. It's a move no one anticipates, and one that changes the emotional center of the Abbott family at a moment when everything is under threat. Key takeaways: Billy decides to stop letting Victor dictate his emotions and actions. Jack relies on Billy as a stabilizing presence during Jabba's crisis. Billy's clarity shifts the tone of the Abbott response to Victor's attack. What happened on Y&R the Abbott mansion? Billy Jason Thompson is noticeably different, while the house buzzes with anxiety about Victor's Eric Bredin next move. Billy is calm, reflective, and unexpectedly grounded. He talks openly about how much of his life has been shaped by anger, especially anger tied to Victor, and admits he no longer wants to live that way. Billy acknowledges that hating Victor has ruled him for years, pulling him into cycles of impulsive behavior and emotional chaos. Now, he's choosing to let that go. He isn't pretending Victor isn't dangerous or that the threat to Jabba isn't real. He's simply refusing to let Victor own his inner life anymore. Jack, Peter Bergman, sees it immediately. Instead of worrying about Billy spinning out, Jack leans on him. Billy becomes the steady presence in the room, someone thinking clearly when emotions are running high. Why it matters for the Abbotts. Billy's choice matters because it alters the family dynamic at the most opportune moment. For years, Billy has been Victor's favorite pressure point, easy to provoke, easy to distract, easy to use as proof that the Abbotts are unstable. By stepping back emotionally, Billy removes himself from that role. This doesn't make Billy passive, it makes him deliberate. His clarity gives Jack room to think strategically, rather than reacting out of fear or rage. It also deprives Victor of something he thrives on: emotional response. In a war fueled by grudges and escalation, refusing to play is a form of power in itself. The fallout: Billy's decision doesn't stop Victor's vendetta, but it reshapes how the Abbotts face it. Instead of adding fuel to the fire, Billy becomes a grounding force, someone focused on outcomes rather than vengeance. Victor remains dangerous, but Billy's choice exposes a weakness Victor rarely confronts: loss of control. When anger no longer works, intimidation loses its edge. For Billy, this moment marks a real turning point. He isn't trying to prove anything to Victor anymore. He's choosing who he wants to be, and in doing so, quietly shifting the battlefield. Subscribe our channel for more latest update. The December 22nd episode of The Young and the Restless delivered one of those deceptively quiet turning points that only reveals its full impact in hindsight. On the surface, it looked like a pause in the endless Newman-Abbott war. In reality, it was something far more subversive. Billy Abbott didn't lose to Victor Newman. He didn't surrender. He chose to stop fighting altogether and, in doing so, he made a move no one in Genoa City saw coming. The rinse thrives on these moments. When the loudest statement is made through restraint, Billy's decision wasn't dramatic in the traditional sense. There was no shouting match, no corporate ambush, no smug declaration of victory. Instead, there was clarity. And for a character long defined by reaction and rebellion, that clarity felt revolutionary. Billy Abbott, breaking a lifetime pattern. For years, Billy's identity has been shaped by oppositionist where Victor is concerned. Fighting Victor has been as much about proving his worth as it has been about protecting his family's legacy. Every clash reinforced a familiar narrative: Victor as the immovable force, Billy as the reckless challenger. But December 22nd quietly dismantled that dynamic. Billy didn't come across as defeated, he came across as done. Done chasing validation, done mistaking resistance for purpose, done letting Victor dictate the rhythm of his life. That choice alone repositions Billy in the power structure of Genoa City. When someone like Billy stops reacting, it changes the board. Victor Newman, a victory that felt hollow. It makes Billy's decision so effective is how it lands on Victor. Victor is accustomed to enemies who either fight him head-on or crumble beneath him. He knows how to handle both. What he doesn't know how to handle is disengagement. Billy stepping back didn't give Victor the satisfaction of conquest. Instead, it left Victor with nothing to push against, and that absence is unsettling. The episode subtly suggested that Victor sensed something had shifted, even if he couldn't immediately name it. In classic Newman fashion, Victor may interpret Billy's move as weakness, but viewers know better. Walking away from a fight you can't win is survival. Walking away from a fight you no longer need is evolution. The choice, no one expected what made Billy's decision truly surprising, wasn't just that he stopped fighting. Victor, it was what he chose, instead. The episode hinted that Billy is redirecting his energy toward something more personal, more grounded, and far less performative. Rather than continuing to define himself in opposition to Victor, Billy seems poised to define himself on his own terms. That might mean stepping back from certain business entanglements, reassessing alliances, or focusing on relationships that don't revolve around proving a point. This is the kind of choice Genoa City rarely sees because it doesn't generate immediate fireworks, but long-term, it has the potential to change everything. A shift in emotional priorities. One of the most telling aspects of the episode was Billy's emotional tone. He wasn't bitter. He wasn't sarcastic. He was reflective. That suggests this wasn't a spur of a moment decision. It was the result of cumulative exhaustion. Billy has spent so much time fighting external battles that he's neglected internal ones. By choosing not to engage with Victor, he's acknowledging that the cost of constant conflict outweighs any potential victory. That emotional maturity marks a turning point. For the first time in a long time, Billy's choices aren't driven by anger or insecurity, they're driven by self-preservation. How this affects the Abbott family. Billy's choice also has significant implications for the Abbotts. Jack, in particular, has often been forced into cleanup mode when Billy's battles spiral out of control. By stepping back, Billy is indirectly offering his family a rare gift: stability. This doesn't mean the Abbott-Newman rivalry is over. It means Billy is no longer willing to be the sacrificial piece in a game that never truly ends. That restraint could open the door for a healthier family dynamic, or at the very least, fewer self-inflicted wounds. Victor's blind spot. He needs an opponent. Victor thrives on conflict. It sharpens him, validates him, gives him something to dominate. Billy's refusal to engage denies Victor that fuel, and that's where the real danger lies. Victor may escalate elsewhere to compensate, targeting other family members or reigniting old feuds. Billy's absence from the battlefield doesn't end the war. It simply forces Victor to fight it differently. Why this move feels bigger than business. What makes Billy's choice resonate is that it transcends business strategy. It's about identity. Billy is no longer willing to measure his worth against Victor's shadow. That's a radical shift for a character who's spent years oscillating between rebellion and regret. By choosing peace over pride, Billy isn't retreating, he's reclaiming agency. The long-term storytelling potential. This storyline opens intriguing possibilities. A Billy who isn't locked in combat with Victor is unpredictable in the best way. He could become more dangerous precisely because he's no longer reactive, or he could finally find the stability that's eluded him for so long. Either way, the choice signals growth, and growth is often the most disruptive force of all. Final thoughts. Silence as strategy. The rinse for December 22nd reminds viewers that not every victory is loud. Billy Abbott didn't beat Victor Newman. He outgrew him. By stepping away from the fight, Billy made a choice that shocked everyone, including Victor. And in a town built on power plays and ego wars, choosing not to play may be the boldest move of all. Whether this path leads to peace or sets the stage for an entirely new conflict remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: Billy Abbott is no longer fighting the same war, and that changes everything.